An Igbo Socio-Cultural Association, Ohanaeze'S worldwide, is pushing for an Igbo to be president come 2023. The group claims an Igbo presidency is crucial to the survival of Nigeria beyond 2023. It says attempts to intimidate a Nigerian president of Igbo extraction is the quickest route to disintegration and an unending secessionist agitation in Nigeria. The group explains that the clamor is not about Southeast, but the repair of a country battling with threats of disintegration and insecurity.
Well, for a closer look at these political developments, we're now joined by a senior fellow at the Center for Democracy and Development, Professor Jibrin Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. And let's begin with this counsel or submission or advice from High Chief Raymond Dokwesi, saying that the PDP should go for candidacy from the northern part of the country. And he has stated his the reasons for, his stance. He says, well, under the PDP, OBJ served 8 years. Goodluck Jonathan, 6 years, making 14 years. The APC with Buhari in 2023, Buhari would have stayed there 8 years, and Yar'Adua 3 years. He says PDP should give it to the North come 2023. What do you make of this?
I think we're at the stage where every possible candidate and solicitor for candidates will make their propositions. At this stage in the race, there will be 3,000 to 4,000 people hoping, dreaming, praying that they will get that opportunity. So this is the time for us as citizens to look at them all, reflect on the reasons they're profiling, why they should be nominated, think and make up our minds. I find it perfectly normal that this happens at this time, and I wish all of them excellent luck.
Good. Let's talk about, I wanted to pursue that angle of Dr. Messi a little bit. All right, let's pursue that a little bit further. Do you agree with him that the PDP or those calling for the South presidential candidate in the PDP are only copying the APC and that this strategy will fail? Do you agree with him?
I think the way to think about it is not really from the standpoint of a political party, but from the standpoint of Nigeria, who has been in power over what period in Nigeria, rather than who has represented a political party in Nigeria. So I think the idea of making an argument based simply on the history of one political party may not be the best approach, because Nigerians as a whole will judge you, not just members of your political party. And therefore, my advice as a political scientist is think Nigeria rather than just your political party.
So you don't agree with, of course, Dr. C, when he seems to be narrowing it down to the choices in the parties, zoning within the parties, and not necessarily, is he reading the sentiments, across the nation correctly? He also says, well, the APC is actually free to pick someone from the southern part of the country. If the PDP were really to, take this advice and give it to the North, will the PDP not be handing over the presidency come 2023 on a platter of gold to the APC?
You see, in political science, what we are taught is that when you are selecting a candidate for an election, this time the presidential election, don't think of who do your party people like most. Think of who will generate the most votes in the country. That's the most rational way politicians calculate when choosing a candidate.
Right.
Now, he is making a different argument that compare over the years candidates of the party from different zones in the country. It's perfectly legitimate. But I'm saying the danger in that sort of analysis is that you may shortchange the party into nominating somebody that may not generate sufficient national support and spread in the country, and that therefore you would be shortchanging your party.
Or shooting yourself in the leg. All right, let's look at, I didn't know whether I caught you laughing there, but let's look at David Okupe, you know, who, based on IBB's, you know, postulations of somebody who is about 60 or at least within that range, that he fits the bill. The vice president incumbent today will come second behind him. So I want you to look at that one, and then Babangida's assertion. How do you know, what's your sense of his assertion? I'm sure you're aware of what he said.
Yes, actually, I run a weekly column every Friday, and my column today is on IBB. Now, without the presence of my lawyer here, I'll be very careful what I say. Is it possible that somebody would know what's in somebody's mind without speaking to him and ascertaining your suspicion of who that person has in mind? Nigerians are very powerful people, many of them, and have ways of knowing what is in other people's mind. And I will certainly not deny this brilliant man that powers. But I would say, as somebody who doesn't know what's in people's minds, that first of all was the qualification of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida to tell Nigerians who is a good candidate. When he was president, Nigerians elected a good candidate, and he threw out that electoral process and created a crisis. What I will say, therefore, is that I don't even think the source that Okupe is referring to is legitimate or the correct source to go and ask questions on who is the most qualified. I think he went to the wrong person.
All right, we'll put you on hold and return with more on this discussion after this break. There's more to come. Do stay with us. Jibrin Ibrahim is still here. All right, Professor Jibrin Ibrahim, a senior fellow at the Center for Democracy and Development, is still here with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'd like to get your take, first off, on the president's visit. Yes, he's back now. We actually broke the story yesterday here on Newsnight about President Buhari's visit to, Tinubu right there in London. What do you make of that? And then this support that seems to be gaining a lot of momentum for Tinubu presidency come 2023. Will Tinubu be an easy sell? Is he the best man for the job? Will he be the unifier in chief?
Very clearly, Tinubu is a very astute politician. He has contributed greatly to the development of politics in this country. And he is eminently qualified to be a candidate. I saw pictures of the president visiting him. I did wonder why the president was visiting him instead of he visiting the president, but that's neither here nor there. But my position always remains the same.
Which is?
We have so many people eminently qualified for this position. At this stage, their responsibility as potential candidates is to sell their candidature to Nigerians. They will explain to Nigerians why they feel they are qualified, and Nigerians will ask them questions. Questions about the veracity of the qualifications they present, questions about their history and past performance, questions about their proposed program and manifesto, and based on a detailed analysis of these positions, Nigerians within that party would then make a determination on who is the most qualified. I'm very happy that so many people are coming out or being presented to us as potential candidates. I think the more, the merrier.
All right. In South Africa, Ramaphosa succeeded the former president, Jacob Zuma, who is now battling treason. In Nigeria, we have Yemi Osinbajo as the incumbent vice president. What do you make of his chances taking over from the president, Muhammadu Buhari?
I think historically, every time a president has finished his term, the vice president is always at an advantage in getting the candidature to replace his former boss, as it were. In that case, therefore, Osinbajo is well placed to contest for the position. I think the challenge would be his capacity to mobilize the party. I think he's been a technocrat who has very clear and laudable skills. I don't know about his politics. He has been rather quiet on the political front.
And because of that, so you keep hearing things like he needs to build courage, that he needs to, he scores very low on his politics. A wise man once said, politics is too serious a business to be left to politicians alone. Is it that core politician that Nigeria needs come 2023, or the technocrat, that person who is willing to, communicate with Nigerians at every given opportunity?
I think you've given a very solid reason why he has an advantage he can seize on. My advice to him really is that at a time in which Nigeria is in a very difficult situation, facing numerous challenges, maybe it's good for him to focus on governance. INEC has not called for nomination processes to begin, and what we are seeing today is people jumping the gun.
Well, it must be stated that both gentlemen have not officially made their interest in 2023 known yet. But, the opportunities for action of Osinbajo seem to have dwindled, over time. You think that's also a sign of weakness? Indeed, you are going to make a
All right, before we let you go, I want to take you back away from Tinubu, the Osinbajo. We read earlier of a socio-political, socio-cultural organization, Ohanaeze'S nationwide, talking disintegration, on the basis that if they don't get it, that will be it. Should anybody on that basis be talking disintegration of the nation? What do you think? Just briefly.
What I think is that too many people in this country are ready to play the politics of brinkmanship, to say either their candidate gets it or that will be the end of the country. To be fair to Ohanaeze'S, they are not the only ones saying that. Others are also saying it. My position is that it's wrong to argue that it's either a candidate or the end of the political system and the country. I feel the basic principle of politics is really to present yourself, to sell yourself. If you are accepted, good for you.
All right.
If you are rejected, accept it with honor.
Absolutely.
Good sportsmanship.
Thank
what it
you
should be.
so much.
All right, thank you, Professor Jibrin Ibrahim
Yeah.
there, a senior fellow at the Center for Democracy and Development. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight.